Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you all. So today we're going to be covering our theme Chronicle deck of choice, and that is going to be Crusadia. So I'm recording this the first full day of the theme Chronicle. I think technically it started like really late last night, but anyway, I just jumped on today, and this was the first deck that I decided to turn to was Crusadia. After following, what other people were kind of saying and doing some my own thinking about, what was legal within this format, this seems like one of the pretty obvious top choices. This was mostly left alone because it fits within the whole World Legacy, World Chalice theme Chronicle. So I think this alongside Orcust are two of the best decks that you could use for this event. Now, I chose to go with Crusadia here because it was a little bit less of an ultra rare craft material investment. For me, I only had to craft the one Crusadia Avramax, and really you don't even need this card in order to play this deck, so you technically can get away with not crafting any in archetype ultra rares. Now I'm of course still playing Maxx and Ash Blossom and Feather Duster. Everyone gets Rhoda, so that's not a big deal, but Call by and the other ultra rare here, Rasterliger, this is actually one that everybody gets. I think this was part of the Legacy pack or one of the starter decks. I don't remember, but this is one that everybody should have, I think, at least one copy of by this point. So yeah, really the only ultra rare again to craft is Avramax, and even though this is optimal, it is pretty much optional as well. So definitely not something you need. For those of you who have never played against Crusadia or with it, who don't know what this deck's about, it's a very, very simple deck. The idea is that all of the main deck monsters can all special summon themselves from your hand while you control a link monster. So you just special summon it to a zone that a link monster points to. So you start off by normal summoning a Crusadia, then you go into Crusadia Magius here, then you special summon a Crusadia into that zone. That'll allow Magius to add another Crusadia monster. It's usually going to be either Draco or Maximus, just depending on your hand there. And then from there, you go into the Crusadia, or sorry, I skipped a step. You go into Crusadia Regulex. You get to special summon another Crusadia monster into Regulex's zone. Then you get to add either Revival if you need a little bit more attack points, or Power in order to keep your Crusadia monster from being affected by any card effects. And then from there, you just go into Crusadia Equimax, and this is going to be your big win con. Like the other, or rather, like Regulex, it gains the attack points equal to all the original attack of the monsters that it points to. So the idea is that if your opponent doesn't have a monster that this is going to point to get a lot of attack points, then we're just going to throw one of the Kaijus down in a zone that Equimax can point to. From there, we can double up on damage with Maximus's effect, and we can potentially double its attack points with number 60 Durages, the Timeless here, using this effect. So really, the whole point of the deck is going for one big OTK, one big shot to do a whole lot of damage to your opponent all at once. Upwards of 20,000. There's actually going to be a couple of games where we deal well over 20,000 damage to our opponent in one attack. Some of the other card choices here to kind of help facilitate our combos are playing two copies of Formud Skipper. This can be used as pretty much any Crusadia monster. If you reveal Avramax or Equimax or any Crusadia monster from your extra deck, then this will become a Crusadia monster and can then be used for a link summon from those cards. Furthermore, it'll also add a level 5 or higher Cyberse monster when used as a link material. That'll let you get Parallel Exceed, which can further be used to go into more link climbing, or it's a really easy way to go into Durages the Timeless as well. Parallel Exceed is. So that's pretty much the whole point of this deck. As far as the Kaijus go, I decided to run a little bit of a variety of Kaijus just to increase the odds of me drawing two different ones. Although I don't think you actually have to draw two different ones now I think about it. I think that was kind of a misconception I had going in. So I think you want to max out on the Kaijus that have a lot of attack points, like these ones that have 3,300, so that you can special one to your opponent's field, and then potentially special one to your field to a zone that Equimax points to give it even more attack. Now, I will say, right off the bat, I'm playing 6 Kaijus here. I really should be playing, at least 7. I feel like just from the games that I've played, which I think I have, about 5,000 medals right now, so it's about, 10 wins there. I think that I should probably be playing more Kaijus. 6 definitely feels like the bare minimum number that you can get away with when playing this deck. This is very much a going second deck, by the way, and since this is one of the easier to build and better decks for this format, it's being pretty widely used. So we're seeing ourselves in a pretty heavy going second format with Crusadias here. So you know, a lot of people are not playing monsters on the board in order to get around being OTK'd by Crusadias, because with their quote-unquote normal OTK, Crusadias have to battle into a monster. There is a way that you can actually OTK without your opponent having any monsters on the field, though. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to, in these first 10 games, really get a game where I had a situation where I could pull this off, but for those who are wondering how to OTK when your opponent doesn't play anything, because a lot of people just won't summon monsters on turn 1, what you do is you link climb up to Crusadia Equimax, and then you summon number 60 Durages into a zone that Equimax points to. Use Durages' effect on Equimax. That'll make Equimax attack 6400 locked in at that for the rest of the turn. Then what you do is overlay on top of Durages this card here, Drill Driver Vespenato. Just make sure it's in a zone that Equimax does not point to, otherwise it can't attack. But you can throw this in any other zone, and this will be 2500 attack points, 2500 plus the 6400 that Equimax will be at, thanks to its own effect and then Durages's. That will be, you know, that'll be 8,900 points of damage. So that's how you OTK with this deck if your opponent doesn't play anything. I have not seen a lot of people playing Vespenato in the list that I've been seeing for this so far, for this event, and I think with this meta, where people are wise to the fact that, hey, if I summon a monster on turn 1, my Crusadia opponent's going to OTK me, so I won't play anything, I think you gotta have Vespenato for this event's particular meta. So I just want to make sure that I pointed that out. That's a very key thing that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, is OTKing on turn 2 when your opponent doesn't have any monsters. So that's pretty much everything I want to talk about the deck. Again, for those of you who are kind of planning on taking this list to the event, just know that, again, I would play 1 or 2 more Kaijus. I think ultimately what I would do is I'd drop probably the Dust Kaiju and play just a 3rd copy of each Thunder King and Jizukiru, and then I'd maybe take out, I don't know, maybe Harpies for the Duster. There's not really too many back row decks in this format, so I don't think this is super needed. So that's probably the adjustments that I would make going forward. As far as what I'm going to play going forward, if I really just want the points, I guess I'll just play more Crusadia. But I will say that this format's ban list kind of, I don't know, it's kind of interesting, right? For the most part, it just kind of disallows a lot of an archetype's best cards, but I guess it is at least somewhat interesting to figure out what you can make under the restrictions of the ban list. So I've got a couple ideas. I'll keep working on those, and then, you know, if any of those pan out, then I will be glad to show some of my own brews for this format here. But, yeah, if that doesn't work out, then I'm just going to play more Crusadias. And again, if you're looking to just grind through this event as quickly as possible, this is the deck I recommend. So, let's go ahead and break it down card by card, and then we'll take a look at some gameplay. So we're playing 2 Formud Skipper, 3 Maxx, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Crusadia Recluisa, 3 Crusadia Aboria, 3 Crusadia Leonis, 3 Crusadia Draco, 3 Crusadia Maximus, 1 Radian the Multidimensional Kaiju, 1 Gadarla the Mystery Dust Kaiju, 3 Parallel Exceed, 2 Thunder King the Lightning Machine Kaiju? Lightningstrike Kaiju. 2 Jizukiru, jeez, I can never say his names right, the Star Destroying Kaiju, 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Crusadia Revival, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crusadia Power, and 2 Infinite Impermanence for the main deck. Extra deck is going to be 1 number 60 Durages the Timeless, 1 Drill Driver Vespenato, 1 Link Spider, 2 Crusadia Magius, 1 Salamangreat Almiraj, 2 Crusadia Regulex, 1 Crusadia Spatha, 1 Update Jammer, 1 IP Masquerena, 2 Crusadia Equimax, 1 Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avramax, and then finally 1 Rasterliger. So that will round out the list here. Now let's take a look at some gameplay. So our first match here is, go figure, a mirror match. I would expect a lot of these, especially if you're obviously playing Crusadias, but just a lot of Crusadia matchups in general. But yeah, they're going to make us take the first turn here. So immediately I know I'm probably playing against the mirror match. So again, just knowing how Crusadia plays and how most people are building their decks, I'm going to not summon anything. I really maybe shouldn't have even activated this Rhoda, because that kind of let my opponent know that I was playing Crusadia, but that's debatable either way. So I looked actually at my opponent's list, and funnily enough, they're actually not playing the Drill Driver Vespenato. So already by not playing any monsters, I've made it a lot more difficult for my opponent to OTK, but it's not impossible necessarily. They're still going to rely on mostly Durages the Timeless, which is what I'm going to wait to use this Imperm on, actually, is Durages. So as soon as the opponent drops his Parallel Exceed, I know Durages is probably about to, hit the board here. And this Maxi at this point, like, I already have pretty much everything I need to win this game in my hand already, but yeah, definitely now that I have a third Crusadia monster, it's interesting. Like, it's kind of hard, maybe just because I'm still relatively new to this deck, to pinpoint like exactly the combination of cards to pull off certain combo lines, but generally speaking, having Maximus in hand is where you want to be to double up on that battle damage there. So, yep, as soon as they go to destroy with Reclusia, I'm just going to negate Durages preemptively. So now I don't have any monsters for them to, like, Kaiju, for their, Link monsters to point to, and they're not going to be able to double up on their attack points because, again, I've negated Durages here. So I even draw into another Imperm. I'll just go ahead and negate the Regulex. As far as what to Veiler or Imperm against Crusadia, it really, I don't know, it's interesting, right? Because it really just tends to vary hand to hand. Hitting the Magius, the Link one, is often pretty good because that search is usually pretty necessary in order to get, like, Draco, which is the ideal search if you don't have Maximus, or to search Maximus, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee to stop your opponent's plays. Hitting the Regulex to get rid of a spell can be the difference a lot, but I'd really only do that if you have another follow-up, because most likely you're going to stop them from adding power. Sometimes they do need to add the field spell to have exact lethal, but they can usually find it otherwise. So, and then of course Durages is the ideal thing to hit, but the problem is they don't always OTK with Durages. So you could also hit the Maximus when that comes down. I think against Crusadia, it's probably better to wait till later in the combo and hit either Durages or Maximus, but I've only briefly played with this deck, so that's just my initial impression. So, but anyway, yeah, we're able to just kind of scare our opponent with the Maxi, and then just, again, the fact that we've negated the Durages and have no monsters means our opponent couldn't win this turn, and with how many cards we have here, there's kind of no way we don't. So there's that first game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. All right, so this game is going to be against a kind of going second 8-axis deck with a lot of danger stuff, and a lot of the Galaxy Eyes, Exceeds, Rank 8s are still legal for this event. So this is another deck that I expect to see, maybe not like as frequently as, definitely not as frequently as Crusadia, but definitely would expect to see it around. It's also another going second deck, so it's going to make us go first again. This is a really interesting meta where, like, you can actually really play, like, who goes first or second really matters in this format. It feels like a lot more because more people are opting to go second. I think it matters more in deck building in this particular meta than it matters for most metas. It's interesting. I think some of the ideas that I have for decks kind of exploit the fact that a lot of people want to go second. So, let's just, I don't know, we'll see if they pan out. So anyway, we actually got pretty lucky here. Our opponent didn't have too much to combo off with. They do have a Denko Sekka, which means our Imperm would have been useless. So I'm just, I'm thankful my opponent didn't put more damage on the board, that they didn't have, like, more danger monsters or something. So decide to, take out the Denko Sekka just in case my opponent's got a response here. And then on the follow-up on their turn, I can maybe use Imperm if I need to. So it was a little bit risky because, there is merit to taking out the Danger Bigfoot. I don't need this Imperm or really spells or traps in general for my turn at all, so you can make an argument, I think, for hitting either of them, but it ultimately isn't going to matter a whole lot. So now we're going to see, I'm going to use the Parallel Seeds to go into the Durages here. I've already got the Maximus in hand, so I don't have to worry about that and searching that with the Magius, unless I did search that with the Magius. I think I got the Draco, though. Yeah, we added the Draco. Draco and Maximus are like two of the best ones to have. Draco, you can add back the Crusadia monster that you normal summon because you'll still be able to special summon that one from your hand. So Draco is really good for keeping your, link chain going, and then Maximus obviously to inflict double damage. So between double attack points and double damage here, you can do some pretty ridiculous amounts of damage. As you can see, 24,600 points of damage. That is over 3 times lethal in one attack. So that's just a little taste of, like, well, I don't know if that's a little taste. I think it's just about the max damage you can do reliably, consistently. But all the same, very fun. To be fair, I guess I could have maybe put, like, a Kaiju in one of Maximus' zones. I don't know. That's just definitely overkill at this point. But that's more of what, like, a typical Crusadia OTK kind of looks like there. So there's that one. Now let's go take a look at the next duel. Alright, so this next game here is going to be against a Penguin deck. I've never played against Penguins before. I know they have their Synchro and Tuner monster, but I've never actually, like, played against it yet. Go figure, Penguins, I guess, weren't hit too hard by this event. That doesn't really surprise me that much, but we're going to take the second turn. I actually don't remember if we want the coin flip here or not, but in any case, they start off by foolishing the ice barrier. That will allow them to send and then I guess add this Great Emperor Penguin. Oh, that's right. I was trying to remember how they summoned it, because it obviously takes a tribute, but they use the Ice Jade here. So as soon as this is summoned, I'm going to try to throw out an Imperm, because I know this is pretty much like a rescue cat for the Penguin deck, except they have a cross-out designator of all cards. They have like the one card that could actually stop Imperm. So, you know what? It's pretty lucky, but my opponent's playing Penguin, so I'm not like upset or anything. I was actually kind of like, I had ultimately decided at this point, I was like, you know, regardless of the outcome of this duel, I'm going to show this, because I've actually never played against Penguins. I've never had Penguin Brave summoned on me before, but color me curious. So the idea of the deck is that, you know, they want to get out a Note Penguin and then also have a Penguin Soldier set up, so that way when I activate a monster effect, they can flip this Penguin Soldier up and then it'll banish 2 of my cards there. But aside from No Penguin, they actually get to throw down an Adamantipated Risen Dragite as well. So, and then a Dimensional Fissure on top of that, just for good measure. So, I think this is just about the best turn 1 a Penguin deck could possibly hope to have, right? Except for maybe having No Penguin up as well. Like, if I hadn't had a response, they hadn't had Crossout Designator, they might have been able to set this up too. I think that would have been like an ideal, because then they would have been able, like, they can't banish with the Penguin Soldier, but they can still bounce right now, so. And I do have to be mindful because, again, remember, the Penguin Brave, they get to flip this up during my turn as soon as I activate a monster effect. So I'm going to start with the Harpie's Feather Duster. Whether this gets negated or resolves, I'm actually fine either way, because Crusadia definitely doesn't want its stuff to get banished. Like, it doesn't always need the graveyard, but it usually does, for the Draco to add something back. I don't know about usually, but it does often enough that we don't like having Dimensional Fissure in play. On top of that, you know, there's the Adamantipated Risen Dragite. I would like to negate this at some point this turn, or for it to use its effect and not have to worry about it, but, so we'll see if that happens here. They don't actually negate, so I'm going to destroy the Dimensional Fissure. Again, this is fine. So I'll start with my combo here and see, you know, see what I can do. I do have this Crusadia Power to potentially use against the Penguin Soldier, although the fact that my opponent didn't drag out the Feather Duster means they'll probably just they'll negate the Crusadia Power, so. That said, with the Reclusia here, I can still at the very least destroy a monster on the field, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Dragite, because I don't, you know, my opponent doesn't have anything in hand. They don't have any really live graveyard effects, so if I get rid of this Dragite, then I'll get rid of their strongest monster and Spell and Trap Destruction for future turns. That'll make it a little bit easier for me to come back, I think, in, you know, future turns. The other thing about Penguin Soldier here, too, is that they do have to target up to 2 monsters. So here they're actually forced to banish their own Penguin Soldier. That definitely works very well for me. I don't know if they actually had a way to flip it back down. It doesn't look like they did, but still. I'm glad it's off the field. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So I've got Draco and Maximus in hand. I think between these, I should be able to find lethal here. So I'll just start with the Maximus, go for that, and then I can special Draco and add something back, probably just the Maximus. And actually, I don't think that would have been enough, because I don't have a Kaiju for my opponent to point to, or anything like that. So I was actually going to have to probably just go for Avramax here and probably not win this turn, but be in a better position during this turn. But my opponent just ended up scooping anyway, so I do think that was a bit of an early concede. I actually wanted to play that game all the way through, because again, even if, like, I don't care the outcome of that duel. Like, if Penguin's going to win on me, I will definitely show that, because, like, we all like to see a deck like Penguin succeed, right? And to be fair, they had a very, very good turn 1, and that setup is actually pretty good in this format, especially given the fact that they are given the option to go first more often than not. But ultimately, alas, was still not enough to win. So let's go ahead and move on to the next duel. And the final duel for this video here, we're going to be playing against Blackwings, which is another deck that, you know, despite not having a Solo Gate, went relatively unscathed for this format. They actually even still have their level 10 Synchro monster, the Towers, so they even are like, it's not like, you know, they're missing some of their boss monsters. They actually do still have their best Synchro play to go into. So they get the first turn. Obviously, we're going to give it to them. Start off with a Black Whirlwind play. I knew as soon as they are trying to copy this level, oh, that's level 10, they're going to go for the big, it's like, what is it, Assault Armor Master? We'll see it, because they actually do end up summoning it this turn in a second here, but I'll imperm this effect to try to stop them from going for that, but they have this, let's see, Chris the Crack, the Bora, the second Bora, the 1900 Bora, you know the one, so. That's full Armor Master, so... Yep, they do still manage to get this out, and that is going to be a towers we're not really able to get over because we don't have a Kaiju in our hand. Normally, this deck is actually pretty good against, you know, monsters like this. Typically don't give Crusadians that much trouble because, again, we're playing, like, so many Kaijus. And, again, like I said, I really need to be playing at least one more Kaiju, if not two. Two, I think, might be a bit much, but I think at least one. So, I'm just going to end up setting the Reclusia as well as a call by just in case I end up needing it on my opponent's turn, but mainly the Reclusia, and I'm just going to pass here. I don't think my opponent's going to be able to OTK me through the defense mode Reclusia here, so I'm relatively confident about that. I don't know why also they didn't, because they normal summoned Ash Blossom. I was like, why did they normal summon one of the Boras to get a Whirlwind Surge? But yeah, the Ash Blossom, so... thankfully, they did attack the Reclusia with the Boras, so that's going to save me. Not that they would have had lethal here, but it does save me 3,000 points of damage. Alright, now that my opponent actually has stuff in attack mode, and more importantly, you know, a monster in this zone, my odds of winning look a lot better. By the way, for this event, and really in general, in case you happen to run into Crusadia on ladder, because people do play on ladder too, but really, for this event, and in general, definitely avoid putting monsters in these zones if possible, because that just makes it so that Crusadia doesn't need to open a Kaiju in order to actually, like, win the duel. So, you know, it's one of those, like, make them have it kind of things. Now, this full Armor Master is going to be putting wedge counters on all my monster effects as they activate, but that doesn't matter at all because, you know, it doesn't have any quick effects. My opponent has no quick effects on board, so I don't have to be concerned here. Now, since I have the Formud Skipper into the Parallel Exceed, I actually do get to go into the number 60 Durages here. I don't think I necessarily needed to. I'm trying to think, actually. I have a lot of Crusadia monsters in hand, so I don't actually think I did need to here. Because I could have special summoned, like, multiple things into Equimax zones to give it more attack points, but... I'm actually thinking of playing a third Formud Skipper, because... being able to search out the Parallel Exceed to go into Durages is very, very good. Yeah, and of course here, like I said, I'll use the... I actually get to use both effects, so this is actually another duel where I do well over 20,000 points of damage. I think it's going to be 22,000? Yeah, 22,600 here, so... Did I need that much damage? No, but, you know, I could get it, so it's like, why not? So... there are some example games with Crusadias. Like, again, with this format, people are already kind of wise to the fact that a lot of people are playing Crusadias, so do expect people to play around you. That said, you do also have, like, some degree of inevitability, especially, again, if you play that Vespenato. Playing Vespenato, the Drill Driver, again, that will allow you to OCK through boards, despite them not having a monster. So definitely make sure you're including that in your extra deck. But thank you all for watching all these games. Let's go ahead and just move now to the outro. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That means a whole lot to me. Not just personally, but it's also a great way of supporting the channel as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other means, you can of course feel free to comment and or subscribe right here on YouTube. I'm always looking to the comments section. You guys leave some pretty awesome feedback as far as like constructive criticism goes when it comes to deck building, gameplay, channel content, all that stuff. So feel free to leave your opinion down there. I will be sure to take a look at that there. And then subscribing is going to be the best way to get notifications of when these videos drop. That does happen every day, by the way, so if you're looking for daily Master Duel content, you've come to the right place. And there are more places where you can get some daily Master Duel content. If you check out the description below, follow the top link over to my Patreon page. There for just $5 a month, which is as much as you pay for a booster pack. You'll find a lot more value than a pack full of filler over there. We've got some previews for content upcoming here on the channel. We've got some exclusive games that are only posted over on Patreon over there. We've got some Q&As, and then you can also have your name featured in this lovely credit sequence where I thank all of the people who are helping contribute over there on Patreon. It's a huge support to the channel, and it really means a lot as well. So thank you everyone who is donating that is featured here on screen. And again, you know, it's not just a pure donation, you do get some more daily Master Duel content over there just for being a part of the Patreon. But I think that's about all the time that I have for today's video. Once again, I just want to thank you so very much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. Again, it just means a lot as I do put a decent amount of work into getting these videos out every single day. But that's about all the time that I've got for now. So without further ado, this is Xlex, I'm signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.